It's hard to believe, with the beauty here of old brick beneath canopied trees, that this place holds such a terrible secret.
I always felt like it happened to my body and not my soul, and that's how I survived it, honestly.
This is obviously hard for you to even sit here and write.
Sure, still.
Why do it?
Because if we don't talk about it, then it's kept in the dark. That's just where the offenders want it. Right?
Michelle Kuiper was a 24-year-old U of L freshman. She was sitting on the front porch of this home in Cherokee Park when a stranger pulled her off the porch, dragged her between these walls, and forced her into the small opening under the neighbor's deck.
Even then, I kind of went to another place, I think, to survive that moment.
She was sexually assaulted, left laying on the ground.
I was dirty, I was filthy, I had leaves in my hair and all over.
She ran to her neighbor and friend, and fortunately, a fourth-year med student.
Thank God, right? God sent her to me because she knew what to do.
Police were called on that August night in 1994, and a rape kit was collected. 17 years later, a DNA match. The man who changed Kuiper's life had a face.
I was lucky. I was lucky all the way around. I was lucky. Many survivors are not so lucky. You're talking about 97% never see a day in jail.
That number's got to bother you.
Sure, it bothers me. That's why I'm talking to you.
Her attacker, Curtis Boyd, was convicted and sentenced to 33 years in prison in 2012. That lockup freed Kuiper's story.
How can we use that horrible, horrific experience, and how can we reframe it to say, this should never happen to anyone, ever?
How many years that you've been working on laws?
About 2.5, almost 3. This is something I do freely on the side, just because I really feel it's important.
For the past few years, these halls have become her home.
I think it's to put a face on it, to humanize it, to show that it can happen to anyone.
She's proud of the progress Kentucky is making after a startling audit in 2015 that found more than 3,000 untested kits in Kentucky. The state landed funding to get them worked. Almost 2,700 have now been completed, resulting in 103 hits. Kuiper says the next step is requiring DNA swabs at felony arrests, like 32 other states have already done.
If we're not going to swab for that profile, then there are going to be many serial rapists like mine who are on the streets and they're never caught.
This is a new thing, but I think it's the fingerprint of tomorrow.
State Senator Whitney Westerfield was the first to introduce the idea in 2013 to legislators. It failed to become law, but he's continued to support it for the past 3 years.
There's a big brother fear that lots of legislators have, and that hasn't gone away. In fact, it's probably gotten a bit worse.
And is that what it feels like right now? You have it on legislators' radar, but now you need to push it forward.
Yes, I think we need to always keep pushing.
She's only been back here once. There are some images she doesn't need to see anymore. But the story that started here is far from finished.
If nobody talks about it, and we just all keep it in the dark and act like it's not happening, then nothing's ever going to be done about it. And now I see Kentucky doing something about it.
In Frankfort, Miranda Combs, WKYT.